Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Geographyguru. This is the fourth episode of class 10th Political Science chapter number 2 Federalism. In the previous episode, we discussed about the challenges India faced after the independence as a federal country. Particularly, we discussed about the language policy and also discussed about the center-state relationship. In this fourth episode, we are going to discuss the very important part of this chapter, very important topic of this chapter, that is decentralization, local governments and the Panchayati Raj institution. This topic is very important not only for your board examination but also for your NTSE examination too. Let's begin. Decentralization in India. First of all, we need to know what is this decentralization. Decentralization term is exactly opposite to the centralization. What happens in the centralization? In the centralization, we have the powers in the hands of one person or group of persons. Monarchy system was the example of centralization. But now in democracy is the government of the people, for the people and by the people. So the basic soul of the democracy is that there must be the power sharing. Power should be given to the more and more people, and more people should be involved in decision making process. So after the independence, India set up the third tier of that decentralization or third tier of local government in 1959. So what is this decentralization? Decentralization means when power is taken away from central government and state government and given to the local government, it is known as decentralization. Okay, so when the power is taken from central government and state government and given to the local government, this is known as decentralization. It means that we can take the example of our school when the power is taken away from the principal sir and the principal ma'am, and they have given the power to the one or other teacher to take the decisions regarding the cultural activities, to take the decisions regarding the discipline, etc., and they can take the final decision too in these matters. That is known as decentralization. If the teachers are not permitted to grant you the leave and to give you the some task without asking from the ma'am or the sir, that is centralization. So in the decentralizations, more and more people are involved in the decision making process. So when the power is taken away from the central government and state governments and given to the local government, it is known as decentralization. In Hindi we call it Vikendrikaran. Let's discuss about the local government. Decentralization means the creations of the third tier of the government to involve more and more people. So in 1959, we set up the third tier of government, that is local governments. But before 1992, the third tier of government, that is the local government, was not effective. Why? Let's find out the condition of third tier of government or the local government before 1992. So before 1992, the local government was not effective. Why? First, the local bodies were directly under the state governments. They were not independent one, they were not free to take their own decisions. So first drawback of the decentralization before 1992 was that the local bodies were directly under the state government. Second, the elections, regular elections were not held. Sometimes the elections were held after 10 years, 7 years, 15 years or 20 years, and that varies from the state to state. So one system was not there and the regular elections were not held. It means that the government was not taking the third tier of the government so seriously. The local bodies didn't have any resource of their own. It means that the local bodies didn't have their own source of income too. If they didn't have the source of income, it means they couldn't do anything their own. Fourth, the local bodies didn't have their own powers too. It means the local bodies before 1992 were powerless and were resourceless, were sourceless. So these were not much effective before 1992. But in 1992, the constitution was amended, and it was amended to give more powers to the local government so it can become more effective. So what changes took place after 1992? Let's find out. After the 1992, many decisions were taken and the local government became more effective. First, the mandatory, now it became mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies, and it was mandatory, it was made mandatory to hold the elections after regular or the fixed interval of time. How much? 5 years. So now after this amendment, it was made mandatory to hold regular elections after the fixed interval of 5 years in each state and union territory. Second, seats are reserved for the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes. So it was also a very welcome amendment. Now the reservation was given in the local bodies elections for the SCs, STs and the other backward communities. It means that they now could actively participate in the decision making process. Next, the reservation was also given to women, and it was 33%. 1/3 reservation was provided to the women. It was also a very welcome task or welcome amendment in the local bodies. Next amendment that took place and next change that took place after the 1992, that an independent institution called the State Election Commission, SEC, has been created in each state, and the main function or the main responsibility of this State Election Commission is to conduct the free and fair elections on regular interval for the local bodies or the third tier of the government. Next, the state government are required to share some powers and revenue with the local governments. Earlier, the local government before 1992 was not much effective. Why? Because they didn't have their own source of income, because they didn't have their own powers. But now many powers were taken from the state governments and given to the local bodies, and now they have their own source of income too. 29 subjects of the 11th schedule of the constitution, which were earlier in the state list, are transferred to the Panchayati Raj institutions. It means that after the 1992 amendment, local governments become more powerful, more effective, because they have their own powers, because they have their own source of income, because the elections are held on regular intervals, because the reservation are there, because all the people, they can take their own decisions. So now it is more effective. So far in this session, we discussed that what is decentralization and what was the condition of local government before 1992 and what changes took place after the 1992. That's all in this session. I hope that you are doing well, you are going well. Bye bye. Have a nice day.